All right, so when you're making drums, especially if you're just starting out, the first thing you want to do is you want to get some good drum sounds, okay? Don't worry about the drum pattern right away. The first thing you should worry about is getting a nice drum sound. And that goes for each drum sound. So what I have here is I have the kick, then the snare, and then the hi-hat. All right, now you can leave them like that, or you can do something to them. So what I'm going to do is, if you listen to this kick, it's nice and thick. It's got a nice thick sound to it. It's a little bouncy too. Okay, now what I have is this kick right here. This one's a lot lighter. Now that's pretty light. Okay, now on its own, that'd be whack. All right, check this out. You don't want to use that on its own. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer this one on top of this one. And the reason why is because this one's thick, this one's light. So this one is just going to complement this one. If you have this thick kick and then another thick kick, well then it's just going to be too much. It's going to be distortion. It's going to be too heavy in the mix. You don't want that. So in this case, let's go ahead and all right. So now these are linked. All right, and now listen to the sound. I don't know how much you can really tell the difference, whatever, but it's there. And this just adding this light one to this is just going to add to the dynamics of that kick. Okay, now you don't always have to layer, but in this case, I'm just showing you how to layer because it's just going to make it a lot better when you're making drums. You're making a simple drum pattern. It's just going to add some flavor to your drums. That's all it is. Okay, so this one's layered. Okay, now for the snare. This one's just it's a thick snare, but it's also kind of snappy in a way. And I added some reverb to it. And the reason why is because I always tell people it's best to add some reverb to your snare. Sometimes a lot, most of the time just a little. And the reason why is because when you're making beats, okay, you have your drums, your snare is going to sound dull a lot of times. So if you add reverb, it adds a nice ambiance to it. Okay, and especially with the other types of instruments that you bring in. Let's say you have some strings or piano or whatever, and you're playing that with your drums. If you have this atmospheric sound to your beat or whatever, then that means you've got room. You've got room in the mix to add some reverb to your snare. Okay, because if you just have a regular drum track going with this nice smooth atmospheric sound, it's just going to sound like that. It's going to sound like a smooth atmospheric sound with just drums. So you want the snare to complement, the reverb on the snare, I should say, to complement that atmospheric sound. Okay, so you don't always have to do that, but I recommend you do at least add some kind of reverb to it because it'll make a big difference. It really does. And it all depends on what kind of instruments you're adding to your drum track, but you really should. Okay, in this case, I'm just showing you just a way to have it. I mean, right now it's like just a bit of reverb here. But let's check this out. Let's say I add some more. That's a lot bigger. That's a lot bigger. Almost sounds like an 80s rock snare or something. But anyway, you get the idea. So you get the snare, and that'll go really nice if you have, let's say, some strings or whatever, some smooth keys. It just brings a nice dynamic to your whole beat. Okay, so this snare I have, I'm going to layer it with it, but this one's different than the kick scenario. In this case, listen to this one. This one, it's just like a snappy snare, but it's got this like delay, like it comes in a little late. So this one, you can play, let's say something like this. You know what I mean? Something like that. So you don't have to necessarily layer these two together. You can just play them individually. Maybe have this snare, the first 3 bars, have this one come in on the 4th, something like that, whatever. Or just on the end of the 2nd bar, for example. But let's go ahead on this one. And I'm going to layer these two now. So listen to this. So you hear that one. You can definitely hear that one with this one. Of course, this one's got the reverb. See right away that reverb, it just sounds so nice when you're playing it, right? It just adds like this nice feel to it. Now look, I'm not a machine drummer. Don't expect that from me. I'm not going to be doing all this crazy stuff. But anyway, yeah. But anyway, you get the basics of it. Now here you got the hat. This is very lo-fi, closed sounding hat. Pretty dull actually. Then this one, it's a lot louder. Okay, now these two you could definitely layer together. But sometimes what I do with the hi-hat is instead of just layering them, what I'll do is I'll just alternate. So I could be like this, or like that, whatever, something like that. So you could do that with the hi-hat because that'll definitely give some flavor to your drum track. So these are things you could do, okay, just to get that nice sound with your drums. So let's say we have this. Let's say I'm going to layer it, and this one, put on 3, this is 3. See, that gets some nice flavor there. So you got. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not a drummer, so don't expect that. But anyway, but I put together just a little simple pattern here. Okay, 2. So here. Yeah, I got a little symbol there. I forgot about that. But I'm not talking about that today. I'm not crazy about symbols actually. But yeah, there's that. But listen to the pattern. It's just simple. It's just kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. Very simple. Because when you're starting out, you're probably going to want to do something like this. Like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go crazy with the drums. You don't want to have a busy pattern. I mean, I'll do that if I'm drunk, let's say. Just if I'm messing around, okay? But if I'm making a serious beat, I'm not doing something like that. And you don't want to have a busy pattern because it's going to interfere with your other instruments, okay? Because if you have some crazy instrument going on, let's say a guitar or whatever, you don't want some crazy drums, okay? If you listen to most tracks, everything from like electronic music to rock, and especially hip hop, most of the drum patterns, they're very simple, okay? So you don't want to have. I think I have. Hold on a sec here. Here's another pattern I have. Yeah, that's it. See, that one's different. That one sounds nice, but you don't want to necessarily do that. I mean, you can, that's fine, whatever. I'm just saying is that if you're going to make a busy pattern like that, just make sure your other instruments aren't just as busy, because you're going to have this crazy busy mix and it's just going to sound too overwhelming to the listener. You're going to tire out their ears. You don't want that. So just keep it simple. Just keep it to the kick, snare, kick, snare, something like that. Then you can build on it, because then you can have, let's say with the simple pattern I have, you could do this. Let's say you have that simple pattern. So you can just start adding stuff. But as long as you get that simple foundation, you're good to go. So that's it from me. And I'm Mr. Fade. And make sure that you, if you got any questions, just post down below or head on over to the Music Forums and ask your question over there and we'll help you out. All right, so start making some beats. Do it.